Hello, my name is Christine and I run a vintage shop called Prima Treasures on Etsy. Today I wanted to talk about silver and the whole idea of tarnish. There are widely ranging opinions on tarnish, and so I kind of wanted to go through that a little bit and kind of hopefully help you make up your mind about how you feel about tarnish or what you think your inclination might be if you're interested in owning some silver. So I have a variety of items here on the table to show you, and they range from the very dark, which is this tray right here that I hope you can see, to the completely clean, which is this water pitcher in the back. And I just wanted to kind of walk through the different levels so you can get a sense of what style you find appealing, what fits your aesthetic, that kind of thing. And so I guess let's start with the one in the front. This is an antique bread tray, and you can see that it has a lot of dark tarnish on it. I'm going to hold it up a little bit so you can kind of see into the bottom of the tray. It's pretty dark gray, and it has, you can see here, some spotting, kind of light, I guess I would call it kind of splotchy quality to it. So there are people who actually like to keep their antiques tarnished because they want their antiques to have that aged quality, and you can't really manufacture age. So if you're somebody who likes things that look their age, you're going to be more inclined to leave the tarnish on the tray. But then there's also people who feel that this tray is just dirty and they find this look unacceptable. So again, it's your personal preference where you sit on that spectrum. But the rule of thumb generally is that if something's antique, you don't polish it, because the presumption is that when you pass it to the next person, if they value the antique look, that you've ruined it and ruined the value of the object for that person. But I personally don't think a lot of people really evaluate their belongings that way. So unless you know you have an antique silver piece that is quite valuable, I don't really feel like that's a meaningful criteria. I think you should do what you like. So this tray you could polish, and it would probably look more like these other items here. But there is a middle ground, and I kind of wanted to go through that because I feel like that's not really talked about a lot. So I'm going to move this aside and pull out this piece, which, as you can see, it's darker than the fully polished item. And the reason for that is that it does have tarnish on it, but it's a very uniform kind of, it gives it sort of a softened quality that's more of a soft gray, like pewter, instead of this very bright and shiny silver we've got going on with the fully polished piece. So I think that this is a reasonable, let's say, compromise position. If you want something to have a little bit of an aged quality to it, and you don't want to go so far as to make it just straight up shiny, brand new looking, I think this is a reasonable middle ground to let something develop a little bit of an age. And the only problem with this is that sometimes when you get an item, it already has some ugly spotting and weird quality to it. So that's a scenario where you might go ahead and polish it, get it all clean and uniform, and then let the tarnish naturally come back onto it over the span of, let's say, a couple years. And then once it's fully cleaned properly, it will tarnish more gracefully. The splotchiness occurs when people don't clean and polish things correctly, and they don't make sure they're nice and dry and buffed when they're done. And so what happens is water spots, mineral deposits, fingerprints, things like that, oils and mineral deposits tend to show up as ugly dark spots. So when you're careful about cleaning something, you can avoid that. So that's another example I think is valid. And then this third piece I brought out because it has something very specific I wanted to show, which is what I call the shabby chic polish. And you can see here that the large flat areas are fairly clean, similar to this, but down here at the bottom where the trim is, it's dark. And that's where the tarnish tends to collect in these little more ornate sections. And not that this area didn't get tarnished too, but I polished this. But I purposely left this trim alone because you get an interesting balance between nice and clean here. Okay, not perfectly clean, but let's just say it is. And then you have down here where you get the little hint of age around the decorative areas. So this to me is, as I say, another one of these compromise solutions where we leave some age on it so that you can, when you put it on display, people get a sense of this is an older piece. You don't, polish it completely like we did the one on the far left and make it look like a brand new object. So this one I feel still has enough character that it doesn't look like a brand new item, but we've cleaned it enough here so that you can see that it still has a really nice mirror finish on it. So you get kind of an equal dose of both, let's call that. So that's an option too when you're polishing, to just be very careful to polish the big open areas, leave the little decorative areas alone, and that will give you just a little hint of character if you're somebody who likes that aged quality. And then, obviously we've been using this example all along, so it doesn't really need to be said. This is the fully polished item. It is so shiny that it looks like it absolutely have just walked right out of the factory. And as you can see, it's mirroring everything in here. It has almost no tarnish on it. And so if you're somebody who likes this sleek, modern, highly polished look, then obviously you're the kind of person who would go ahead and just fully clean your silver at whatever point it gets tarnished. So those are some options that you might consider in terms of determining where you are on the spectrum of different looks. And I hope I've given you enough objects here that you can kind of make up your own mind which look seemed preferable to you. So I hope you've learned something, and I thank you for watching.